I went to Control V, but I yeah, so I have to go back to
And we're
like
live.
say.
And they've been hearing
Mm-hmm.
you complain like nonstop for like the last 5 minutes. No, they
This,
couldn't hear
of
you because the music was
course.
playing.
It's well, yes, but like, okay, Summer and the Geeks complaining ain't not surprising. Hello, Georgia P. You made it to the beginning of the show this time. Well done, Georgia P.
Yay!
Yes. To be fair, she's off of Twitter, so it's like she has to like actually like be on like the channel and click the
Hey, I'm
notification.
not on Twitter, and I was almost here on time.
Almost here on time. Yeah.
You were here for the beginning of the show.
Yes.
So yeah, it is believe it or not, yes, it is the second Sunday of the month because we just started January the new year. Yes, it's the 8th day of the January, second Sunday of the month, our patron show. So quickly off the top of my head as I remember it, I would like to thank those who are not here. First is Flora, Marty, Tim, Von Rack, the Fuck Boys, which is me and Mehmet, Stat Noise, Aaron, our newest one from like the last week, and of course
Or
like
at least I noticed her last week.
at least I want you to notice. Yes, and of course, like the patrons are joining us this month as well as like most often every month. And we not that we're saying this is a bad thing that you're always here every month as it were, but like we enjoy your company. But like Joe McClure and Eli, how have you, both of you been doing?
Pretty good. Luna woke me up for the stream, actually. I was napping.
That was nice of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little alarm clock there.
and
Let's see if I can find.
No, I'm applying for unemployment assistance.
yeah. You mentioned that as well, just like because like you did had employment as it were, but it wasn't a job; it was a contract, and it's just like yes, that's sort of like that sort of thing just like sucks. And
The difference, they just tell me to show up and clean shit. So I guess I'm not dumb to show up and clean shit.
yes,
Well, if they paid
hello.
you, then you get to laugh all the way to unemployment.
Just that our unemployment side is so fucking difficult to fit to do.
Intentionally.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was about to say.
So
Like-
people complain about welfare, but they make it difficult to get it. So
Well,
like notably, Florida's governor, one of the first things he did was make it more difficult for the unemployment system.
mhm.
but
And
funny,
he just recently appointed a whole bunch of anti-education assholes to the board of trustees for their school system. So
good thing about me is I already got my education. So
It's just for the future generation. And hi, Groundhog, how you doing?
Yep, because you got to be real dumb to keep supporting them.
Game. I'm like, man,
Fair enough.
it would be nice to have a revolution sometimes.
Yeah, that's like okay. So like, I understand like many people's like hesitation about like revolution as it were because like it is a great catastrophic change and. There are liberals that don't want the system to change, and they think that like
they'll side with the fash in the event of a revolution.
yeah, exactly. But then there was like there's are many like leftists that just like hesitant about the revolution because of like the who gets like caught in between and that sort of thing too. But like part of me is kind of like, well, at what cost do we continue the system as it is moving forward, as it were? So it's just like so long as like we're moving towards like some kind of like a great change towards the better towards like a fully electric automated game space in narco-communism as it were, I like to see that happen. So there are many people that would that do kind of like want to like build mutual aid societies and build resiliency amongst like a group and help the marginalized so that like whether it's like the revolution happens or not, that like they are taken care of as it were. So I guess in some way that's one of the things that I do just by giving money to the people who need it. But like yeah, I'm if revolution or not, I'm on the side of revolution. Hi Tavi, I hope you're doing well.
I feel like it. Of course, some of the revolution would have to be sort of violent, but I think a lot of it would also have to be people taking care of each other because it would be tough on people to sort of fight all the time, and not everyone can do it, but everyone can sort of, someone can cook, or someone can provide housing, and someone can sort of
I'll make the cocktails. Sorry, freedom potions.
yeah. So I think everyone can play a part, but not everyone has to do the violent part.
Right. Even for like street actions, that's the war. And yes, Tavi, this is where you signed up for as long as gay space communism. Absolutely. Even like street actions, we see, and sometimes in our mind, I guess I'm speaking for myself. Like in my mind, I glorify the people in the streets throwing the freedom potions. But there's always like support stuff either at the street protests, as were like street medics, for example. They're very important at actions as were, because they can be part of Black Bloc or not, or be in the background. Just like people behind, like in support of the support networks as were, like Portland.
I would say based on how I was treated in life, I would not mind smacking a fucking Nazi in the face.
Well, again, it only costs
It's the only
$1
moral
to do
thing to do.
Sir. Yes. And it only costs $1, at least in the USA. Don't know about the other countries, but like,
Well, it depends on the jurisdiction. In Portland, it
Sure.
costs $1. In Texas, it costs 5 years.
Oh yes, that did happen, didn't it?
Well, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, Joe and Ellie, it's been a year since we last talked to each other.
That is
No,
not
we
the
haven't talked
correct
to each
way
other
to
since last year.
phrase that.
You screwed up
Well,
the
it was
joke.
last
Way
year.
to go.
We haven't
Goddamn
we
dyslexics.
haven't
You ruin
spoken to each
everything.
other since last year. We a year has passed since we last talked.
Words are hard, okay? Give me a break, John Brooklyn.
Your exact phrasing is one of the few ways that it was not correct.
You know what I mean, all of you.
Oh yeah, fully.
I want to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that we did a thing around the sun to highlight the difference between Dictionary.com and the American Dialect Society. Dictionary.com's
So
word of the
American
year for
Dialect
2022.
Society.
Dictionary.com's word of the year for 2022 is just woman, an adult female person.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of searches for that in February. Because turf.
Okay. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the American Dialect Society's word of the year is actually an affix, specifically a suffix, specifically ussy, as in bussy, boy pussy, or one ussy, as in that wine bottle has a good one ussy.
See where the Holocaust.
Oh,
I just learned this, and I'm just like, no, I'm not surprised.
Hyatt
I think
Regency
it's a
Denver,
word.
Colorado Convention Center, January 6th. The American Dialect Society and its 33rd annual Words of the Year vote selected the suffix ussy as the word of the year for 2022. The selection of the suffix ussy highlights how creativity in new word formation has been embraced in online venues like TikTok, Zimmer said. The playful suffix builds off the word pussy to generate new slang terms. The process has been so productive lately on social media sites and elsewhere that it has been dubbed ussification. For more on the ussy phenomenon, see the Vulture article by Matthew Squires. We asked linguists why people are adding ussy to every word. Riffing off bussy, a portmanteau of boy and pussy. Now everything is a cat or a cavity. A calzone is a pizzussy. A wine bottle has a one ussy. See also Michael Dow's scholarly paper, A Corpus Study of Phonological Factors in Novel English Blends. Word of
oh my goodness.
So, I mean, Dictionary.com tried to be political and didn't do a very good job of it, but the American Dialect Society fucking nailed it.
Every time I hear the part about the adult human female, I always think about that time a turf said adult human chicken on Twitter.
Oh,
You mean like Lindsey Graham?
No, she's like, oh, a hen is an adult female chicken, and a woman is an adult human chicken.
No, I was saying that Lindsey Graham is a chicken. He's a coward.
Yeah.
Well then, I'm glad I showed up today. Then.
I'm trying to make.
So, how's everyone doing?
Surviving.
Yeah.
So this past week was work, and like, yeah, the year-end inventory is finally done and finally over with. Now I can just go back to my normal boring work of like.
Is Boeing hiring? Maybe I should get a job with Boeing. I don't know.
Basically, Boeing is always hiring,
I
but
do
like,
I do like airplanes, so
yeah, but like,
unless you have an
it's
advanced degree in aeronautics, you won't actually get to work anywhere near the airplanes.
yeah, you could be probably working on the maintenance of the production line, and there is at least a decent like a union in there, which is I think more of a liberal union as it were. So it's like there's always like a possibility, but it's just like just remember that like my dad working at Boeing for like a long time, there has been like slowdowns as it were, like it started the pandemic. Yeah, that was a massive like layoff. A lot of people that worked at like my company started working at like Boeing, but unfortunately because of like the layoffs happening with the aerospace industry, yeah, they were the first to go. It's always like a first hired, last fired.
I know about aerodynamics. I don't have a degree in aerodynamics.
So,
Which means, practically speaking, you don't know about aerodynamics.
Well,
It's a very, very complicated field.
it is. But, you know. Then again, I graduated from high school and I got it. So I don't know. Well, it's like if we're measuring intelligence like on like academics, Elon Musk is not intelligent. If we're measuring success and wealth by just going to school and just graduating, I don't think that's what Elon did. Is that what he? I don't know.
No, he grew up rich and then failed his way upwards like a douche.
yeah. A lot of people do that. They just like fail upwards as work.
And
Sometimes
elite schools don't necessarily mean elite education. Remember
what
that
do you call
Harvard
it?
hired, what's his name, hid in the bushes, Sean Spicer, to teach a class at their business school. What was the class? Hiding in the bushes 105. I mean, who knows? It was just, so you could say you took his class from the former press secretary of Donald Trump. First? I can't remember.
I just saw in Brazil that there's a bunch of like Bolsonaro supporters. They like stormed some government buildings.
If it works for America.
Of course they did.
Yes, of course it did. So, I mean, Brazil has a history of coups.
My brother, Bolsonaro.
Wouldn't surprise me if we were involved in this coup like we were involved in all the others.
Yep, exactly. Or that coup. What was it? Colombia. The one happened not too long ago as well, like a couple of months. So it's just like, yeah. I've been so behind on the news, so behind on my podcast. I don't know if I'm going to catch up with my podcast and catch up with the news as it was. Hey, Phoenix, how you doing? So yeah. Now. Yeah, and also like read back in the chat, and the caveat is like I've seen too many like chicken personas, but they're probably popular mascot characters as were. And then it's like also the silliness reminds me of like a friend suggested that a penis on a boy is called a cock, and then a penis on a girl should be a hen.
Oh my goodness.
They usually just go they call it cock because a girl cock. So.
Mm-hmm. Or a
isn't the more technical term, or maybe it's not a more technical term, but another term for hen would be pullet, I think.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a young
Isn't
hen.
that a young chicken,
Yeah.
like
They've classified them down to different stages of life so weirdly precisely. It's who cares? But a pullet, yes, I think it's
Yeah.
just a young hen.
Yeah, I was gonna
I think it's
say,
a hen that has not yet laid her first clutch or some shit.
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Let me see.
And I only know that term because of a dirty joke.
Okay.
Not surprised. But yeah, I
Not
think instead of
surprised.
Gawk, it should be Glock because Republicans love him.
I thought black because you know we like rap music, so because we talk about getting Glock all the time.
Mhm.
I can
Uh,
That reminds me. I spoke with one of my older coworkers about what the term drip meant. That was a fun conversation.
yeah. What does that mean? Like drip?
Uh, it's essentially expensive accessories and clothing.
okay, yeah, that makes
Or you're
sense.
really, really horny.
Well, in the context that I explained it, it was about expensive garments.
Thank you to 55 AD for the link. Yep, it turns out a bunch of Bolsonaro supporters stormed the Congress, as it were, and so yeah, it looks it. See, yeah, see, they refuse. Same thing. They refused to believe that Lula won the election, as it were. They were smashing windows, that sort of thing. At least
But
Lula's
good
out
thing
the
we here in
country.
America don't do shit like that.
No, don't.
Nope. Celebrate our 2-year anniversary of not doing that, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah. Never done it before. Didn't see anything. Nothing to see here.
It was just a protest.
It was
Yeah.
a peaceful protest,
And-
unlike BLM.
And it's interestingly unsettling after you've read
It can't happen here.
It can't happen here, as that's essentially the mechanism for the coup in that book.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there were geek. I told you guys yesterday. I watched the documentary about the January 6th insurrection, and all the protesters were shouting they hate communism and socialism, but then they're chanting, "This is the people's house." Are you fucking stupid?
They don't understand anything.
Unfortunately, to many people, again, communism is just authoritarianism because of China and USSR, and so they're against. They say they're against authoritarianism, yet they want to install Trump as their.
They don't actually know what authoritarianism means.
No, as long as the authority is being on black, autistic, brown women, people like that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, because
That's
they're not
not-
really people. I mean,
That's called following the law. But if it's white people being told something, oh God, no!
White fragility. Yes, the white flakes,
And
as it were.
and according to some people, it's the left's fault that we push people to the right because we refuse to cuddle men.
I left the left because they're too mean for me. I mean, okay, so listen, I just respect this a trans person's pronouns and this non-binary person's pronouns. I respect them, but I just think there's only 2 genders.
Okay,
That was literally said to me.
So if someone wants to, I'll explain why the left sometimes doesn't talk to isolated men, because maybe isolated men like to talk about bombing shit and killing people. So yeah,
or maybe they're
because-
just incredibly fucking racist.
Yeah.
that too, because no, this hits close to home because the FBI thwarted a mass shooting at the place I worked at FSU.
Oh.
There was a story about a guy was going to shoot up a bunch of gay people at FSU, where I worked. Used to work at. Yeah, I almost could have gotten killed.
Well, that's what you get for being poor.
Yeah. Who cares?
Well, I care about you, Isaiah. That's one thing.
Well, I know. I'm just saying I don't give a shit about being poor.
The only thing for me about like care about being poor is that like I can't help my friends, and if my friends care about being poor because they can't eat and something like that, that's another thing, as it were. Point over to like Phoenix's like GoFundMe and like Vimeo and like Cash App that just like help someone else who could like use some help. Perfect segue there. Let's see. Oh, like and like that's right. On a positive note, Romanian police have seized 11 of Andrew Tate's like cars as were.
Oh, that's so.
Yes.
Oh,
Actually, yeah. Andrew Tate sucks.
Why
lot.
11 cars? It's such yes, he does suck a lot. It's like
Conspicuous consumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's to basically say I have 10 cars, you have none. Nah, 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 you suck.
Apparently, it's also a thing in Hollywood amongst other Hollywood actors. I mean, Kevin Smith kind of like had to like, all right, Ben Affleck, you will do this movie so you can afford another car, as were. But it turned out to be like no, it wasn't Chasing Amy. That's the third movie. It was like Jersey Girl. That's the one.
Yeah, they only took 11 of his cars because they figured out that only a third of his income comes from human trafficking.
yeah.
Mm.
I don't. I really genuinely don't get why you can look at a guy like Andrew Tate and think, oh, I have to follow everything he says because what he says is like complete incoherent nonsense.
I know. Can I answer that question, Ellie?
Yeah.
Because if you are a loner dweeb of a person, many people on the spectrum tend to be, and you see Andrew Tate with him smoking a cigar in his ugly ass robe and all in the bikinis around him, he's like, I want to be like that guy. It's the same people who fawn over Elon Musk. It's those same kinds of people. It's these poor loner, usually white men, although there's a lot of black men who are from this too, who are like, no one cares about them. No one cares that like they can't get a good job. And so like they have all these crises, and they look at people like Andrew Tate, and it's like, oh, this guy must obviously be doing something right. Look at what he got, and I want to follow that guy.
Mm-hmm. Believing that like that success is like they can achieve as well, and
Well, yeah.
they want to live vicariously through that. And so it's also kind of like how many people reacted to like Me Too movement, or to like, no, this person cannot have done that, as were, because like they want to believe the myth that the capitalist tells them that no, if you are successful in your field, then women will want to be with you, even though it's like, oh no, not every woman wants to be with the same guy, because it's just how it is, or every person. It's just like sometimes like I brought this example up before. You're offering Chinese food, pizza, as it were. Just an analogy.
I do love Chinese food and pizza.
And some people do love both, as it were, and if they all parties agree, then you can easily date both people as well if you're polyamorous and they're poly-friendly, as it were. And so long as everyone is aware of that is happening and there's no lies amongst each other, that's totally fine. My coworker doesn't do that because my coworker believes that only monogamy, and like because he grew up like a Muslim, as it were.
Here's the thing about looking up to people. I never had to do that. I never had to look up to God or presidents. Or do you know the people I looked up to?
Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
No, wait, you're too young for Transformers.
The next generation, Captain Jean-Luc Picard. So it's just that cast of the next generation. No other like variation of the next generation. No.
I gotta say, DS9 did have Cisco was like the black father I never had.
That actually, yeah, that's like, and DS9 doesn't get the credit for that, because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, what other kind of like father-son relationships that were showed?
no,
on television from of a single father and raised a son as
right.
well, I think.
He lost his he lost his wife when the Borg destroyed the ship he was on,
Yeah.
the USS Saratoga, and then he's raising like a teenage son by himself. He has to juggle his being the captain of a starship, being the
Commander and then
emissary,
captain.
and then being the commander of a space station on the frontier and the Dominion. All it's like does not like the total badass blackness Cisco has. Does people not realize that?
He's a he's an awesome character. He's my I think he's my favorite captain.
I
Of
think the
like,
most unrealistic thing about him, though, is the fact that he never got shot by the cops.
yeah. But, again, it's
He
it,
almost well, if you go to that episode, that one,
Past tense.
yeah.
It almost happened past that because of the bell rides. And remember, we're like
What the-
like 2 years away from that.
What about that other one? That episode where they went back to like the 50s or
Oh
something?
yeah, there's that one. Oh, what's the title of that episode? Yeah, that one was very close. He did get beat up by that because of the racism depicted in that show. I think
Also the Cardassian actor, or the actors that played Cardassians were cops in that episode.
which was fitting, honestly. And so yeah, I forgot. Oh man, I forgot the title of this that episode. I think
Being the Stars or something.
yeah, probably like that. I think Avery Brooks directed that one too, as well. Avery Brooks, a hell of an artist as an actor too, because he sees acting as like jazz, and like when with his acting style, that's kind of like fitting as well. Just be as a thing. Unfortunately, randomly, I kind of like saw this like video from just some guy and plays a clip from Avery Books, and like and people brought up to him that he was the first black like Star Trek captain on like Star Freak on the Star Trek, and it's like yeah, that's true. There was the first, but he just like I didn't see Ben Francisco as a black captain as were. He was just a captain as were. And so this just some guy YouTuber took that and see these SAWs are just like ridiculous and saying like oh all this and it's like okay, I'm not watching anymore. This guy's videos is work.
Star Trek 4 did have a black female captain at the very beginning of it.
That's true. Yeah. Yes.
And then,
but,
of
like,
course, she had to be replaced by a white man. Yeah?
yes. There's always that. And Ben Shivel's next novel, Star Trek: The Next Generations. So Joe, Ellie, did you do anything for New Year's?
I beat my parents in Scrabble because
Yes!
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how that's technically possible in Danish. You have all the vowels.
yeah, but but the special vowels gives more points.
Yes, it does.
But
Makes sense.
yeah, but and I got all the letters that are really hard to use in Danish. Like the letter C is really hard to use because it's not in very many words. So, but my mother kept she kept giving me openings to do triple words. That
Triple word score.
yeah, because she kept words out to the edge, and I didn't say anything, but I told her afterwards, Mom, you also need to make it harder for other people to use the letters, because otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. That's an important concept. Hello, Lucivia. Just wanted to like drop in and by and say hi. Got my first appointment and from with my social worker and stuff. And wish me luck. I love you all. Hugs if you want them. Absolutely. Hugs, Lucivia. Hugs. Yes. Good luck, let's see, with like work with social. I hope that goes well with you, because like knowing the system as it were, hopefully you'll get the help that you need.
Indeed.
Joe, were you working on New Year's?
I did, and I got invited to stay until 7 a.m. on New Year's Day, which was delightful.
So you had to go the whole night.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
I've been trying. Well, when it comes to me applying for a job now, I'm thinking of like two radical salute. Like, okay, so I'm thinking about working at a beach because I do love the water. Then I'm thinking about working at the naval station in Pensacola as a museum person because I love airplanes.
Okay, yeah, that can
Hmm.
work for you.
Mhm. Museums are
And,
awesome. Or a
and if I
library. Get a job at a library.
okay,
It is.
I mean, you won't be an actual librarian because you don't have a degree in library science, but
there's a degree in library science.
oh yeah,
Yep.
Is that
librarian is
real?
an actual profession
Mhm.
and it's difficult.
Mhm.
I actually can't match this out. Again, so in my job I worked in the stockroom. I have to keep track of like 500 different stock parts, and like totally worth about like almost $5 million right now this month. It is fluctuating. Sometimes it's only 2.5, sometimes it's been 5.5. I like right now it's like 5 million, and I've like there was a variance.
So if somebody were to, for example, steal a really big truck and back it up to your workplace, how much profit could they make in Minecraft?
Here's the thing, though. I don't know if you can
Don't
actually
plot
like
crimes on podcasts.
yeah. Sorry, fake Revelation 468. No, like, no uncoded messages over channels, as it were. But with the parts I work with, like, yeah, they're LCDs. Like, you have to actually attach them to things and actually make a final part. So you got a $230 like LCD right here from Sharp. But what are you going to use it with? You have to actually attach it to something and build it up as a part of another thing in order to like. Some of our parts aren't even not even completed parts. So you can just like use right out of the box too. So it's just like we are a supplier. We're part of the supply chain. Thankfully, we're in the medical industry, so we were able to part of that supply chain as well as aerospace and like defense. And so I still had a job, even though a pandemic happened and stay at home orders happened. So I had to go into work because I can't do my job from home. Ah.
Apparently, there was a race massacre here in Florida in
Oh, there's
1920.
lots of race massacres in Florida. Are you talking
In
about
19
recently, though? Or are you
No,
talking about Rosewood?
well, yeah. They're at on CNN. There's a piece about Rosewood. There actually may be another video actually coming up. I'll actually probably talk about that.
Rosewood
Nice.
itself, yeah, Rosewood itself. I have to like. I know a little bit. I know a bit about Tulsa.
There was an
because,
accusation of rape against a black man, so the white community of the next town over went and
oh,
destroyed the town of Rosewood.
They
The
went.
inhabitants of the town fled into the nearby swamp/jungle, and some of them survived. They went back,
Yeah,
picked through the burned out ruins of their homes, and then left, and the town was never rebuilt.
Did
yeah.
did they make a movie about that one? I feel like I've watched that movie.
Is it by John Singleton?
John Singleton will be the one to direct that kind of movie. I can definitely see him doing that,
Rosewood
yes.
film, 1997 historical film by
I've
Singleton.
actually
Yep,
heard.
inspired
Oh,
by the
okay.
Rosewood
Yeah.
massacre.
So I was saying, I was pretty sure I've heard.
So white people do believe that it's rape if it's not a white person who has
Hmm.
Yes.
of committing it.
Yep. Birth of the Nation. That was the whole
Except they
process.
had to turn the story into a mysterious hero narrative. Ving Rhames is an outsider who comes into Rosewood and inspires residents to self-defense, wielding his pistols in a fight. Supporting
Have you?
cast includes Don Cheadle and
That
John
sounds
Voight.
that kind of sounds like Kevin Costner's Robin Hood.
Hey, Ellie, do you know about our Civil War and that? Like, what do you guys like study that over there in Denmark? Like,
Yeah, we sort of know some things. I
Probably the same way we know about the War of Roses over here.
yeah, we do, but it's like if I had stayed in school longer than I did, I would probably have learned more. But I had mental health problems, so I dropped out pretty early at school. So I don't have a lot of. I mean, I've learned more from watching YouTube than I did in school about history.
Yep.
Well,
You know
given
what?
that
Yeah.
YouTube is not necessarily full of all the same lies that we get in our schools, you're better off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Do they teach that the Civil War was about slavery over there?
yes, they
Okay,
do.
then you were better off regardless.
Yes.
They don't teach the truth
and,
over here.
and we also talked um, about the KKK and stuff like stuff like that. And then we watched American History X. I have some problems with that movie. I have problems with the ending of that movie because it implies
Black
that
people are
both,
equally to blame.
yeah, and that
Yeah, that's
is
right.
It's a
true.
cycle
And
of violence perpetuated by the victims as much as by white people.
yeah,
Um,
so that is, and I also had a problem with it because my classmates afterwards ran around singing that Jew bashing songs in the hallway,
Oh,
uh,
oof.
and I was
Talk
like, "This
about
movie,
missing the point.
yeah."
But yeah.
I was just like, "What the fuck?" It's just like, yeah.
Well, Ethan Suplee
unfortunately,
is just so charismatic and pretty. You have to sing when he sings.
To be fair about that movie, when I thought people were like Nazis because there's the scene where the girl from The Craft is in that movie, and
yes, she is.
she's
She's
like
a
this
Nazi
like,
in that movie, yeah.
and I
Yep.
was so are all punks and goths Nazis?
No.
No. And most punks and goths hate Nazis, actually.
Yes.
As the old song goes, Nazi punks, fuck off.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, that
Skinheads and punks hate Nazis. It's just that
Yeah.
Nazis steal punk and skinhead aesthetic.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
that was because I actually I actually follow a punk like art business out in the UK, and I like asked that question, and I kind of got like jumped on by it. It's like I thought
No.
I was like no I was like I thought punks that whole Nazi, and they got like no, actually hate Nazis like really bad, so it's
Mhm.
like hey,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
no.
Punk is anarchist, and
Yeah.
therefore is anti-Nazi.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's like conservative punk music, which that's a contradiction in terms.
Mhm. It sounds punk, it isn't punk. In the
No,
same way that ANCAPs are not anarchists.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like, again, talk about missing the point. Again, as we said several times before, all those conservative people that like love Rage Against Pain, it's just like, and some
What
are
did you think
actually
they were
surprised.
raging against exactly?
The toaster, obviously.
well,
Is
The
the
Jews.
reason
We
why
thought they were raging against the Jews. They're the machine, right? This old machine.
I think conservatives like rock and roll because they think because like if you're like giving it to people of an oppressed country, like let's say the Soviet Union, for example, then yeah, it's part of American like, freedom that we're exporting to someone else, but they actually hate rock and roll for the message it has. That was the whole
oh,
behind that rock and roll thing in Moscow back in '89. They did a bunch of like Motley Crue and all of them. They went to the Soviet Union to like open the door, like the winds of change, I guess. So
yeah, it's just like, oh god. And it's like, should we apologize for that to send over something like I don't know. I like Motley Crue's music as it were, but like,
When did Motley Crue become classic rock? And when did Ozzy become an actor? It was YouTube, Nirvana, way before Madonna.
is Sharon Osbourne?
I just realized you were singing lyrics to a song. Oh
Way
god.
before Madonna. This is
19,
YouTube and Blondie and music still on MTV.
1985.
Oh my goodness.
A comment from earlier, Mithril said, "We won. That's all you need to know about the War of the Roses." Ha. Yeah, okay, Mithril.
Actually, one of the aristocrats won, so you lost, Mithril.
Yeah. Is it a win or lose?
Yes, yes. Whoever wins, we lose. Yes, exactly.
I don't know if society was in a place that, regardless of how that war turned out, if the concept of monarchy could have fallen.
No,
At the time, I don't think so.
Yeah.
it was we get this king instead of another king.
Yeah, in the 15th century, definitely not. Bureaucracy and so on hadn't developed to the point that you could have a more distributed system. You would have just ended up with local warlords fighting over power, and eventually you would have ended up with a different monarchy.
Yeah.
What is
Mhm.
Giorgia Maloney doing right now? My favorite fascist queen.
Oh, she banned.
That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm just being funny.
No, but I read on the Discord server that she banned raves or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned in the chat too. Who said that? I want to give credit. Jojo P mentioned that like Italy banned raves, and I'm just like, okay, listen, I've been to like an anime con, and yes, they occasionally have those raids, and like I might be personally annoyed by like those is existing, especially in their proximity where they are, but like it's just like. I don't let it bother me too much if like I'm listening too close to it, but like no, just like allow people to like do their things and have their loud noises and like interesting music and like the smoke effect and that sort of thing too. And with the drugs, I don't know. So long as they don't force it onto like others, I don't care. As long as it's not a nuisance to others, I don't care about the drugs either. If there's drugs there, so yeah, but it's just like man, it raves. Just
But
Well,
it's like people can sit around the table and do drugs. It's also like what's the next she's going to ban because of loud noises? Is that going to be Pride, for instance?
no,
Yeah.
fuck that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she could say, "Oh, but they are making so much noise. We should ban Pride in Italy because of
You
noise."
should ban her.
Can we just ban Karen so for them being loud? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Let's ban white people.
Yes, cancel whiteness.
Man, if we ban white people, how are we gonna get our good music? Because
Dude, white people hit on
What?
us. That's the music.
You're gonna have to explain that joke.
Yeah,
You stole from us, so never mind.
exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. We also have good music.
We have like capitalist rap, and that's not good rap.
Oh,
Well,
fucking
People
hell!
talk about,
This
I
headline.
got big cars, I got big the H word for all you I'm not gonna what I mean.
yeah. There's in like music, there's always those people that like tout about their successfulness as it were, like and or party rap as it were, as there was always like party rock, like Van Halen, for example. But like some people are serious about their art and do like talk about like struggles as were like it's. I gotta listen to some more rock music, but like at least one rapper that I do like is like Tech 9, and I don't know if he ever like sings about like that kind of like party life or like the lavish life that like he has, and I'm not sure if he's how successful he is either. But he always like talks about like life as he is like experienced it as work. So you can always find like those like artists that are like introspective and like are thoughtful and like talk about like meaningful things. But there's always like the soldier boys that just want to make money, as it were. But yeah, John Brockman, you read an interesting headline.
I wouldn't call it interesting. It's from the Atlantic.
Okay.
BlackRock is not ruining the U.S. housing market. The real villain isn't a faceless Wall Street Goliath. It's your neighbors and local governments stopping the construction of new units.
Well, yeah.
But isn't
There are
like,
more
a
empty
lot-
homes than there are homeless people. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do we want people to have homes? No. I have a.
Well, that's the thing. It's like but even if like people want to like develop
Oh,
new
look at
units,
that. He's pointing out how Jewish he is. The author, Derek Thompson. Wait, that doesn't sound very Jewish. But if, contrary to that last point, real estate investors are routinely flaunting renters' rights and letting properties decay around the residents, the government should investigate them. It would be a mitzvah for the U.S. government to make a strong statement about protecting America's tens of millions of renters. Derek Thompson.
Landlords suck.
But it's also I've been sometimes I like to watch those abandoned building
Mhm.
videos. and I kind of I kind of doubt that we would have abandoned houses to the same level in my country, but of course we're a much smaller country, so we don't have so much space. So
Mhm.
we can't just let buildings decay because we can use the space. Of
Mm.
course, it does happen, like in rural areas, that things decay, but never a big mall.
That's right. I think
Man, shopping malls. You
Yeah.
remember when it was necessary to build a giant building for people to shop in at multiple stores? Because otherwise, Roy Moore would assault young girls.
yes.
That is why teenage girls drove the shopping mall boom. It's because it was one of the only ways for them to be safe in public.
Yeah.
Roy Moore was just walking around harassing girls downtown.
Mhm. He got kicked out of the goddamn shopping mall. That's what the
I
shopping mall
know.
is good for.
I know. Like they can't kick him off out of downtown, so they needed a structure they could actually kick him out of.
What I've noticed when it comes to people who talk about people who get like livid and angry when it's like about sexual assault against kids, but they never do this when it's like a Republican that does it.
Well,
Because
research has confirmed that groomers are wearing dresses and reading books to young children. It doesn't
It's
work
called
as well without the image of the Catholic priest, but you get it.
yes, yes. Well,
Or at least the one book.
yeah, that book as it were. But
Well, they also have
that's
the
thing.
catechism.
Oh, there's
Technically,
that.
the Bible is like 60 books, but
That's true. Well, that's
60
the thing.
short, poorly written books. Very boring.
This, I think what they like are not saying when they are like talking about like rape by a black man as it were to a white woman. Oh, we gotta do something about that. But like all the other kind of like but like or like the trans reading hours where these like trans people who are grooming young children as it were. What they really are saying, and they're not saying it out loud because they are silent about like Brett Kavanaugh's like things or any other like Republican things, or like don't have a problem with Roy Moore apparently, or at least those who want to vote for Roy Moore, or is because like it's okay for white men to do that. That's their right, as it were. What they're not saying or like unsaying, as it were.
Oh,
Or-
and I think the other unspoken thing is that they are as afraid or more afraid that their children will not be cis and straight
yes,
than they are that they will be molested by people.
yes. Is it? They always use this sort of thing as a way to like to oppress marginalized people as it were by saying it's for the children as it were that gave themselves justification
Yep.
whether they believe it or not. Some of them actually do believe that like they're actually helping children as it were. And when you're trying to say like the QAnon thing, when you're saying like save the children, how can you be against save the children? So it's a good cover.
Yeah, but I I have seen I've been at the Venn diagram of someone who calls LGBT people groomers, and people who support Andrew Tate is a circle.
Yes, I agree.
Oof.
Oh, it's called hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It's okay when they do it, but not okay for others to do it. It's all about power.
And it's like there are videos of that guy admitting to what he has done. But that leads me to another question. What would we do with someone like him if prisons didn't exist?
You know, that is a good question.
Someone like Andrew Tate? Oh, I mean, frankly, I don't think that Andrew Tate would be a huge problem absent capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
I agree.
most of the shit he does is driven by profit. I mean, he would, I think, still be an abuser and harmful to people.
Yeah.
But I don't think necessarily he would rise to the level of needing to be segregated.
Yeah, I mean it would be like one. it would happen one or two times, and either the families would make sure that everyone knew that this man was a danger and that people would self-segregate from him,
Mhm.
or he would go away.
Yeah, I mean, when was it? Was it last week or like some time ago?
Yes, it
Finally,
was just last week that he went to prison.
No,
Sorry, to
no. I
jail.
mean, when I stream on my Twitch channel, and finally, a viewer, Steve Shies, Kirok 2011, finally subscribed actually to my Twitch channel, and that's one of the things that he wanted to ask me about. He'll have a question to Steve Shies about like how does housing work in like Star Trek were, and how does that societies were, and I will give him like I said before on this show, so like yeah, I'll give him that like Picard's like estate mentioned in like Next Generation. I'm not sure how that's like okay in like a post scarcity societies where I guess unless everyone else is okay with like that family having that huge of a house because everyone's housing needs
I
is
mean,
taken care of.
they probably do because like if in post scarcity everyone has their needs taken away and people can survive, no one's gonna care if they have a big house or not.
Right, exactly. And also, another example, well, the thing is, like, my only issue with that is like the only in the vineyard itself, the only in land, rather than line be returned to commons, because it does seem like, at least from what we've seen, that like there are people working for the Picard estate of like farming the vineyard, and like I kind of have a problem with like ownership of land. So, but Kirok also 2011 is pro police, not pro the current iterations of the police. It will recognize the problems with current iterations of police, but still believes in police of some form because, as he said, there are rapists, there are murderers, there are like assaulters. We have to protect ourselves. We need police to protect themselves, and that's just like I don't know what to like say to people that feel the need for protection, because I figure once like we get rid of like capitalism, everyone has all their needs met. The instances of like sexual assaulters or Anarcho-Tate or that sort of thing too would be such a rare thing that we wouldn't have to deal with it. But if we do have a situation with Anarcho-Tate, like Joe said, just like one or two, everyone says don't watch out for this guy. He's a predator, as it were, and we will all either just like isolate him or just like don't engage with him whatsoever. Why would you engage with an asshole, let alone a predator?
We
Yeah.
brand with a huge branding iron that says rapist.
That's kind of Scotland.
Yeah, that's the problem. It,
Yeah.
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 yeah,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But
Well, honestly, you don't even have to go as far as Victorian asylums. Any kind of mental health institution, as a person who worked for one, is not an ideal living situation.
John, you're muted.
There, now I'm back.
So what you just said, none of our audience like heard that. So we heard
Um,
that.
we might need to segregate people for their safety or our own, but that would be a far cry from the current prison or mental health systems.
Yeah,
It would be
exactly.
compassion,
So
nothing else.
yes, and so the other part that like you said the like they made and miss is the problem with like if like everyone says like hey listen Andrew Tate is like a predator, like don't like interact with him, but what if he moves and
To a
to a new
community, how do we
community?
help that community to protect themselves from him? And then
Not
that's when
Andrew.
Eli suggested grinding, and I said, well, what if we got cup?
It's not
So
Andrew Tate. Taint.
yeah,
Paint, yes.
it was a joke. It's just because I would like to like.
You want to hurt Andrew Tate type. Yes, I totally understand that feeling, and that like yeah. I mean reverse scholar's letter as it were, but like but it's like what's kind of like was just about adultery, and because they were a puritanical society that was like just had patriarchal too. So it's just like I had never read that book, honestly. I just know the premise.
And one might be able to speculate that the sort of person that would want to that now gossips and wants to tell everybody else's business, for social mobility, and that sort of person would probably still exist. So perhaps perhaps their lot in life, their passion would be following around such people as they move communities so that new communities would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But that was, um, I mean, if that, I'm sorry to use a word like dumb, but if Andrew Tate, being as dumb as he is, as dumb as he sounds, can sort of charm people into giving him attention, it's like, it's like, that's what, in my opinion, makes him very dangerous, is that he can sort of,
Well, and again, once we take care of people's needs, people are no
yeah,
longer isolated, alone, and all these other things. I
yeah,
think that his audience would diminish.
yeah,
So it would
And
be harder for
hopefully
him to
the
get that kind of following.
and hopefully the sort of victim pool that he has would definitely be so small that he wouldn't necessarily be able to find people that he could charm that way.
yeah, that's a good point too, because like that's how especially these kind of like people, they either have a sense for or look out for these kind of victims, and they usually also go after vulnerable people as well, because they're the easiest ones to like victimize as well.
So
And
eliminate those vulnerabilities and get everyone
exactly.
out.
Yeah, and that's the point I bring up to Kirok, because he seems to believe no matter what there will be murderers. Okay, yes, I occasionally there will be like
There will be
the
crimes of passion. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, or the like the crimes of passion, and there's that thing that will be occasionally happen. There's also, well, I guess the 0.1% of the time, the like Gary Whitways or those kind of like murders is worth that can happen too as well. But like I still don't for and I guess like I want to know like what Kirok thinks of police. Is it like kind of like a current version of police, but like not as like racist or a part of an institution of white supremacy and control, but like also does like hero is fine with like those people, police or whatever it is in whatever iteration having power over us, because that's my issue with the police as it is, which is they're part of the state, they're part of the white supremacist like system as it were, but also they have power over us, and that's where I as an anarchist have my issues with greatly as well, especially if like who writes laws.
yeah.
well,
I feel like if what do you call it, the the actual reasons why there are police were removed, like to protect property,
Mhm.
uh, that the incidents that their side functions that have cropped up over the years would still need to be done could probably easily be handled by the community. I don't
Yeah.
think you would need dedicated people for it. Maybe you would want like an office that was rotating,
Yes.
so that there were at any given time certain people that were in charge of that, but that would be something that each community would probably decide.
Yeah, and again, if there's ever like that kind of like office as well or council that like would like manage that, as we're just like everything else in the society that I would imagine that I would like, the people will be rotating in and out as were. It's almost like, and I don't know if a better example of jury duty as it were, or but that's something where it's just like I would, if especially like if I have an issue with what's happening as were right now in this issue, I can't really work go to the police or work in within the police or like be a part of that process in the police. They control themselves, and that's a problem as it were. I can't like influence them, like just like I can't really influence my city council. There's the premise that I can by going to their meetings and like what I vote for as it were, but I'm not directly part of the process. The city councils themselves are the ones that just do voting, and they have the power. They may listen to me or not, but in an anarchist society, I'm part of the process too, and I can either put myself into the process of as well as the part of the process of policing or protection, but I'm part of the process in city councilling or protection, and I put myself in there or I rotate in when it's my time to do so.
But you could also hope that in that kind of society that there wouldn't be so much toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So, because that's definitely a huge part of the problem, and I find it so odd when cis men say, "Oh, but it's so hard talking to women," and it's like, yeah, if you treat her like a prize, it's hard, but it's like it's just a person like
Whoa, whoa,
anyone.
whoa. Women as people?
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
kind of gay.
yeah. It's so hard. I once knew a guy I went to school with, and I mean, he had a crush on me, which was a totally wrong crush because I'm not that into men, and, and I'm a trans man, and I couldn't give him like a woman. Uh, so 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 and I rejected him, but I didn't stop talking to him. So I once asked him, what will happen when you get a girlfriend? Because it's kind of seems like you want a girlfriend, but you don't really know what you would do with her if you ever got together with her. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's like how like some men view like girlfriends or wives, and this is something that came up in my conversation with my coworker, which is why he asked me about like would you allow like your girl to kiss another person as it were, and I just brought up the polyamory. It's like, listen, if my partner's polyamorous,
If I'm allowing someone to do something, then something has gone very wrong with our relationship.
Yeah, I probably should have like also like brought that up. It's just like my partner is their own person. They can do what they want. I can't control them. They're not my property. And so if they're polyamorous and they tell me when I first met them or we get serious about each other as it were, I would personally be all right with like them going on a dates or like having another partner, as it were. I would look if I can, I would like to meet their partner and see if they're cool too. And it's just like we can have understanding that like we both like love this person. I might like the other person as like a good friend, as it were, and that'd be cool to have because I have a new friend, as it were too. And I'm okay with that. But like my coworker is just like you let your woman is just like, why isn't my woman? So yeah, and that's the part of the thing that we got like affects in society. There's like a sense of entitlement that like men generally have, and because of like the patriarchy, white supremacy, and all these other things, all these system oppression, ableism, it's a constant work of progress, as all things were. And again, that's why I like anarchism, because as Rudolf Rocker said, I'm an anarchist not because anarchism is the final goal, is because there is no end goal. So it's just like always a
Anarchy is
constant
the
work of progress.
means, and there is no end.
Yes. Yes.
So, let's see if sharing screen will work. It almost certainly will not, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay, I can see yours.
Um,
Yes.
okay, but it looks like it's sharing Zoom. Yeah, it's not sharing the thing I wanted it to share. So let's boop. Nope, that's there. Then boop. Dang it! Now I can't stop sharing.
I don't know where yeah, you have to like cover over the thing. Oh yeah, so like the audience is seeing totally the wrong thing, and like you have to like this the born in the technical difficulties. Um, I see. It's hard if you have like entitlement issues. Yeah, I agree. See, and like or view interactions relationships as transactional. That's another thing
Yeah.
too. It's fair to set
Ah,
boundaries if
there we
there are
go.
clear and agreed bones. Yeah, exactly. So like, um,
There we go.
Okay, so you're probably going to like send me the link to that sort of thing, so
Well, the
that
thing
I can
is, it's
share my
not
screen.
a
Don't forget
link.
to like
It is
allow it for like all
image.
people to like share.
All right, so
You're
instead,
muted
I'm
right
just going
now
to
as
go ahead
well,
and
so
put it
it's
on the
just like
screen, and you guys are
we
going
can't
to
hear
not
you.
be able to.
Yeah,
You can't
we
hear me.
Yeah,
Did I mute myself somehow? I did
John,
mute
we
myself. Now they could hear me, but you couldn't.
Yeah,
All
they
right,
could
so
hear me.
it's not a link is the problem. It is an image. So I'm just going to have to share it here on the thing, and that'll just have to be how that works. All
Yeah,
right, so
so the audience can see it. Yeah.
it is a thing that's been floating around in leftist spaces. There was a study. They went and they looked for over the last 20 years. They looked at some 2,000 laws that had polling done on them. Sorry, 2,000 bills that had polling done on them. And thus they were able to analyze, they were able to look at the percent approval by the public and compare that to the percent likelihood that the bill would pass. So what we have here on the screen, you may or may not be able to see it now. Yes, it's visible on the video.
On the live stream as well, yeah,
Yeah.
so the audience can see it.
Well, the audience was able to see it as soon as I started talking. It's just that you guys
Yep.
experienced the delay. So, on the y-axis, we have the percent likelihood that the bill will pass. And on the x-axis, you have percent approval. And then we have the line y equals x. That's the red line there in the middle, which would be sort of the ideal 0% public approval, 0% chance of passing, 100% approval, 100% chance of pass, 50-50, right? So that's sort of like the ideal for a functioning democracy. Okay. So just go ahead, be as optimistic or as negative as you like. How close to that line do you think it comes in reality for public approval versus the likelihood that the law will pass?
Not great.
Not great. I'm most likely not. The public approval is not concurrent with like how likely is it going to pass, and the public can like disapprove it greatly and it will pass, and the public may approve it and will not pass because like especially in the USA, the public have like very little power or influence on what finally gets passed. It's the donor class, the rich, the Wall Street that like have an influence on like what gets passed.
All right, and Ely, do you have a guess?
Does it completely slant the other way?
Oh,
Hey,
All right.
Balrock!
And Isaiah, do you have a guess as to what the line looks like?
What are we talking about again?
How do you think the government responds to the will of the people when it comes to passing laws? Like
I don't think they care I don't think they care about what the people want. They just pass the law based on what their constituents want.
Isaiah is closest without going over. Here is the actual data. So the gray bars, you will be able to see this at about 30 seconds. But the gray bars are it's a bar graph. Those gray bars are just saying how many laws they found, or how many bills they found that had that percent approval. The black line is the actual relationship between public approval versus likelihood of passing. And as you can see, that line is almost perfectly horizontal. It goes from 30% likelihood of passing at 0% approval to 31% likelihood of passing at 100% approval. Which means that public opinion has absolutely no impact on the likelihood that the law will pass. Or to quote directly from the study, I'll go ahead and put a link to this in the thing.
about
The
a
es-
1% chance.
No, the estimated impact of average citizens' preference drops precipitously when compared to other things, to a non-significant near zero level. Clearly, the median citizen or median voter at the heart of theories of majoritarian electoral democracy does not do well when put up against other factors. The cheap predictions of pure theories of majoritarian electoral democracy can be decisively rejected. Not only do ordinary citizens not have uniquely substantial power over policy decisions, they have little or no independent influence on policy at all.
Yep.
That horizontal line means that the government gives zero fucks. Isaiah got it exactly right.
Well, yeah,
Ely was a little bit too negative. The government
funny,
doesn't say,
though.
fuck you, we're going to do the opposite of what you want. The government just doesn't care.
Does not care.
Now, let's go ahead and compare this to a subsection of the entire population. Let's call them Blorkos. Where we look at Blorkos, we find that the curve looks like this. As you can see, this is much, much closer to that ideal. At about 0% approval, it's about 0% chance of passing, and it goes up. It doesn't go up to 100% at 100%. Over here on the right, which you'll be able to see in a few minutes, it goes up to about 60% at 90% approval. But it's getting more steep there, so we can assume that at 100% of Blorkos, it'll go up to 100% approval. It's not perfect. In the middle, it deviates from that ideal line because when the politicians have to make their decision, they rule, well, I'm going to disappoint some Blorkos, I'm going to piss off some Blorkos. They favor the status quo, no change, not passing a law, rather than making some sort of change. It's easier to justify doing nothing rather than doing something. Now, go ahead and put on your negative Nancy hats. Who do you think the Blorkos are?
The Blorkos, not the average citizen, the donors.
That's right. The Blorkos are the economic elite. If you're rich, you get to say who passes laws or what laws get passed. Congress cares about the opinions of the wealthy, not about the opinions of people in general. And it gets even more extreme when you look at interest groups who are known specifically to donate on behalf of these laws. It gets very extreme. When interest groups are opposed, even a little bit, the passage of laws goes way, way down. When interest groups are in favor, the passage of laws goes way, way up. Again, to about 60%. So, in other words, the government gives zero fucks about us. So, would you say we live in a democracy?
Nope.
We live in an autocracy.
Oligarchy,
Oligarchy, yeah.
We have been for some time. It's just like more and more people are waking up to that now. But going back to like Revolution at the beginning of this stream, because many people just like fear that systematic change because like who it could affect to like the marginalized or disabled could be like the crosshairs and that sort of thing. That's their fear. It's like liberals believe that like change can only happen within the system and change doesn't happen outside the system. That does not actually like match up with like actual like massive social change that does happen, as it were, like New Deal and like Civil Rights Acts. That has to be like change from outside the system that need to happen. Because as MLK says, so the language of the herd. So but yeah, it is.
What do you call it? My feeling tends to be more along the axis of chances are, if in our current place we are right now, a revolution wouldn't achieve the goals. It would just filter authoritarian power.
Right.
Yeah. We would end up in a fascist state if there was a revolution today. If society collapsed today, we would end up
right now.
Yeah.
United States of Jesus land.
We would go the way the USSR did.
Probably
we wouldn't even
faster
go
than they
there.
did.
We wouldn't start as attempting communism. We would just go straight to Nazi land.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we would just have like an authoritarian society that would be fascist.
Yeah, it would
I mean, Lenin
faster
fucked up
than-
really, really bad, but at least he was trying for socialism.
Yes. He just like was really salty about the like election results at like the Constitutional Assembly, and it was very bitter about that, and just like dissolve it, put the Vanguard Party in place, and wrote State of the Revolution as a retcon on that. Yes, and at least he was like right in warning the Vanguard Party, don't put Stalin in place in power. He should not be in power. They didn't listen though. So they didn't listen to Lenin's dying words, and then Stalin happened. U.S. Congress only cares about the rich. Moral lies. It's our president is
So,
dripping bad. It's
yes.
a river.
But, yeah.
Joseph Speely, which was his actual name.
So the U.S. is an oligarchy and always has been by design.
As one of the founding fathers says, I forget which one exactly, not the most famous ones, but one of the signers of the Declaration. He said like the people that own the country should run the country, as it were, because like that was their point. That was the American Revolution was a bourgeoisie revolution. It was like the mercantile class and the very rich, the landowners, that like hate having a king that was in charge of them. So they wanted to like revolt as well as like they want to expand it westward. The British Crown actually had treaties with the indigenous people of the west of the Appalachians, so they couldn't settle the Ohio Valley like they wanted to until let's make America. So revolution, and also the British Crown was slowing, not like halting slavery, but like slowing down the expansion of
That
slavery or
was
something
John
like that.
Jay,
John Jay.
President of the Continental Congress and first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The people who own the country ought to govern it. According to the biography written by his son, William Jay, that was one of his favorite maxims.
Oof.
There you go.
So he was one of the more famous founding fathers for lawyers.
Man in your constitution means landowner, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you weren't allowed to vote in elections unless you owned land and had a
Yeah.
white penis that was 25 years old.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you couldn't own land if you didn't have a white penis. So
True.
Yeah. You were
Well, I mean,
considered
you could if
people.
you were black and free. It's just that there weren't really many free black people down south or in the north.
Yeah.
I mean, in the South, black people tended to be forbidden from voting by law, and in the North, it wasn't an issue because there weren't any black people up there, except for the occasional
Yep.
runaway slave.
But, the odd thing about sort of the history of slavery is that in my country we're good at talking about what happened in the U.S., but we never talk about our own part in slavery, which we did have a part in slavery.
Yeah.
My great grandfather, he was the cook on a ship that took enslaved people to the colonies, and that's not.
Doesn't your Santa Claus have slaves?
That,
Or is that
that's
the Netherlands?
Netherlands.
No, that's the Dutch Santa Claus has a.
Yes,
Dutch,
well,
Danish. Is there
I was-
really a difference? You're both
I was gonna
weird.
say,
You wear weird shoes. You talk funny.
when you were saying that your grandfather was a cook, I was like, wait, weren't the cooks Dutch, not Danish?
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, like he cooked on a ship, not that his last name was Cook.
Yeah, this was an argument I had with my father because, we never owned slaves, blah blah blah. We never benefited, and I was like, yes, we did, and we did, because he does amateur genealogy, so it's like he knows this very well. So it's like it's so weird that he would just refute.
We didn't make enough money. It was just a job. It's not like we were investing.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of like on Last Week Tonight, one guy that was like holding the Confederate flag and was like questioning about like why he's like proud of the Confederate flag by black people. It's like and then white mind was like, this is history, not heritage. This is where what
Heritage,
heritage
not hate.
Yes. What kind of heritage? We own the farm. Who worked on that farm? That was the question that the black person asked. Who worked on that farm? But then, like in the original news clip,
did they own slaves? No, we were too poor.
do you know how much you were caught back then? It was just like, whoa. That's not the point here. It's just like, And it's but like a lot of like white people seem to come up. It's like, listen, I'm poor too. Come on, life is hard for me. It's just like, okay, yeah, but you don't have to like deal with housing discrimination or like being like questioned by the police or shot by the police for like for not having a tail light on, as it were. So it's like, but then that one person that I play Magic the Gathering with that said the like has racist sentiment or racist lament or something like that. He then like thought that like it was Antifa that was storming the castle, the Capitol. Nope, I saw that happen in real time. He was just like, it must be Antifa. He's like, you really think it's Antifa? Everyone else in the comic section all like criticize him and like make fun of him too. It's just like, hey, you remember? Let's go to the Antifa Super Soldier training. It's like on Tuesday. That's where we collect our George Soros checks. As it were.
No. Nowadays we get our checks from George Santos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The phrase I like to use with talking about poor and privilege on that is, okay, yeah, you're poor, you're struggling to get by. Now imagine you were in the same position, but everyone you met thought what you think about black people as they're passing, on top of the fact that you're as poor as you are.
Now imagine you get behind the wheel of a car and the first person who sees you assumes you stole it.
Yeah, happens.
I mean, it's like cops openly admit they see a white kid behind the wheel of a convertible, spoiled brat. They see a black kid behind the wheel of a convertible, drug dealer.
Yeah,
cops say this openly in race training.
That's why my Hyundai 2017 is not fancy.
You said Hyundai, you didn't have to say not fancy.
Hyundais are
Than getting a car anyway.
yes, congratulations on getting a car. As he said, you
Yes,
were about to like apply for like unemployment too as well. So it's just like, hey, and don't if you're collecting unemployment, don't feel guilty for like owning a car while collecting unemployment. And then
I don't fuck those people who sit there and like say that.
Yeah, because like no, they had conversations with people that believed like no, you should have why you were asking for money for food when you have a smartphone or iPhone. It's just like, do you know how important it is to actually like get connected to like Cash App and the PayPal with if I don't have this where they literally want so in fact I think there was like a cartoon that or a comic that they like shared or someone shared in the server of like where it's just like, hey, well, I'm asking for food. You have a car. Sell your car to like get food. Okay, then they sell the car.
Then how do I get to the food?
So I sold the car to get some food, but it was good for like a 1 night or a 1 week or something like that. But now I need to get food again. You have a cell phone. You can sell that to like get food. Okay, I have no car, no cell phone, and I did buy food, but I need to buy food again, and so I have nothing else to sell. Can you give me money too? Oh no, I won't give you money. They gave away everything else because you weren't going to give them money because they had a car, they had a phone, and they gave them up so they can get food. They don't have any food anymore. They don't have the car or the phone to get food with, and now you still won't give them money as a word. They always like use the like, oh, you have a car, you have a phone, or like why you're buying this as an excuse.
Also, do they not like understand that you can lose your job once you've gotten a car? Like it's not. Sometimes it's just shit that happens and you can't be prepared for it. It's not that I got a car. It's the fact that I had. But and now that I have a car, now I could actually apply to other jobs too.
Yeah.
Understand that?
There was a song in the 90s on the radio that was like, I can't get a job because I don't have a car. I can't get a car because I don't have a job. I don't remember what the title of the song is.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But it's
I'm
like,
sorry, I got distracted by the most horrible meme ever.
Okay.
Shared to Reddit r/made me smile. Store lets homeless street kids choose what to watch on the display TV every evening. They shared that to r/made me smile.
That made me cry.
Oh, it's like fucking liberals. Just
Yeah.
like oh, they're homeless. That's terrible. But hey, I can let them watch
They
something
get to
on
watch
TV.
Blue's Clues.
I
Well, they
shook my
starve.
sandwich bag at two hungry children to give them the crumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the scene from like Pants Lavis always reminds me. It's just like, yeah, the little girl should not like pick something off the table as it were. But if she did it, then the scene wouldn't happen. But it's a pale white man that's a monster that did not had all this food on his table whatsoever, and wasn't eating any of it. But soon as the little girl picked a grape off the table, then he starts attacking as mad as it were. Again, a pale white man too.
I
I gotta rewatch that movie. That's a great movie.
I literally cannot think of a worse indictment of our system than a person, because of his poor decisions, lost $2 billion and is still amongst the top 5 richest people alive.
He lost more money than anyone has ever lost in history.
Yeah.
And is still one of the richest people alive. Ever. In history.
Yeah.
Again, Michael Bloomberg spent $500 million, $500 million on just a failed run at like the presidency. He won American Samoa. That was the best that like Michael Bloomberg got. That's it. One American Samoa. That's it. 4 delegates. That's it. And Benjamin Dixon found the audio of like him and like killed his like political career right then and there. But like he still spent $500 million on his presidential campaign, and was like
He was
still
stimulating the economy. It's good for local businesses. Come on.
The local
No. No.
that's what?
No. It did nothing to help local business.
What do you call it? The fun or the health insurance industry spent over $1 million a day on ads to prevent there from being a single option or a single payer option, and it is proved to be one of the best investments
Do you
ever.
need me to show you the graph again?
Yeah, especially in these groups and the wealthy have like overwhelm have like
It's like-
greater influence than an average person. Yes.
No, they have any influence. The average person has none.
No, that's right. Yeah, yeah. The average person.
The people
doesn't
as a
have
whole
any-
have none. It's just the rich and the influence groups. Anybody who can afford to drop $10 million on an ad campaign can buy a vote. No one else can.
Again, with California, it's like a state assembly did like successfully say that like no, you can't do independent contractors over that. You have to be employees, so give them benefits and do that sort of thing too. So like that was a good thing that prevented like a Uber from like treating their like gig workers just like independent contractors. But then again Uber and other gig economy companies spent $250 million on an ad campaign for a referendum to reverse that legislation in California. So I think it's back to like the old status quo of like gig economy workers, where it's just like you just turn on the app, you start working, and here's the rates, and you don't get healthcare or employment or PTO or all those other things as were. In the UK, nurses who Boris Johnson encouraged us to like clap for on like a Thursday evenings during the pandemic need to go to food banks. Yeah. Man, nurses had like a strike also, like a 2-day strike because of like they're upset with their pay as well, and the railway workers also like did the strike too. I know, and that's also
And
some
the
of the
Congress voted against helping them. In fact, made their situation worse.
Yes, exactly.
And wait,
Hey,
I'm talking about the U.S. one. There might have been another one in the U.K. as well.
yes, the railroad workers in the UK has also been like protesting for like a better pay too as well. I got again more news I got to follow up with. I did hear about like the railroad situation in from the pro labor president of Joe Biden, and yet he just like basically told the railroad workers, "Don't strike. We need you for the economy. You're not going to get the benefits." And they had to split the bill on like for the sick days as well, but like I don't think any of them passed.
What do you guys think about this whole Buffalo Bills quarter? I don't know. Was he a quarterback? I don't.
A player
don't
who
know.
had a not a heart attack, but
Oh
cardiac
yeah.
arrest.
The player that came very close to dying on the field on national
Mhm.
television. Yeah.
My
It's
my
it always it's basically a slave auction where we see big black men just hit each other.
Well, no, I mean the slave auction is the draft.
Yeah.
Yes.
After
Okay.
that, it becomes gladiatorial combat.
but it's like it's scary that you really can't see how much damage has happened to someone till after they have died.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
very bad. My cousin's son moved from Denmark to the U.S. to play American football, and I'm like,
American football should be illegal. Let's just
yeah,
Yes.
it's. I mean, I can understand wanting to play sport, but it's like you could ruin your future.
Mhm.
But it's
You
called
can die.
You
freedom.
have a better chance of ruining your future than you do to actually make a living at it.
Yeah,
No, but Ellie, you don't understand. It's called freedom.
Yes.
You have
It-
any idea how
freedom's
many
just
high
another
school
word for blame it on the Jews.
you have
Yeah.
any idea how many high school and college students destroy their
yeah.
knees and their elbows and
Their
shoulders
shoulders, their brains, their necks, their backs. I mean,
just trying to be in one of the teams where they can live a life where they maybe get 10 years where they're destroying their entire body before,
where they get to earn a six-figure salary and then buy a used car dealership. Yeah.
I, I, I,
Oh,
I would rather he had chosen to play soccer, but
Yeah.
I can see how
I don't know how the stats work on soccer for that.
yeah, but it's like
There's
at least
fewer
it's not
collisions, and they tend to be lower body, I think, as in
yeah,
the legs.
Well, that I know, but
yeah, you
Look at
Uh,
Herschel Walker. Look at him.
yeah.
Let it continue.
It's just kind of scary that
Mm.
to because he moved to the U.S. He moved to Hawaii because his dad is from Hawaii, and
Okay.
he's on the honor roll at the high school that he's going to,
Mhm.
which also kind of shows something about your school system, by the way. Not
Yeah, if
everyone
you
is-
get straight, I think it's like above an 85 average, you're automatically on the honor roll.
yeah, and it's like if you can come in, speak English as a second language, and get on the honor roll, then there might. I mean,
Yes.
he's a good student, but still, there might be something wrong with your school system.
You think?
There's issues. Yes.
It's been systematically destroyed ever since we let black people participate.
Well,
It's systematically destroyed by white supremacists. I want to clarify that. It wasn't destroyed by black
Yeah.
people.
Well,
Yeah.
funny enough, Emily, it's like so when it comes to like the poor schools, it's either the military or football.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Take your pick.
The Dante Basco grew up in Compton. He's said, yeah, the only form of social mobility out of Compton, as it were, is either entertainment and Hollywood, which is that's how he did it, as it were, or sports, as it were, or just
a fraction
service.
of a percent either way, or join the military. And
Yep.
then either way, you're destroying your body, your life, your health.
Yes.
And speaking as an educator who's worked in higher education, don't bother getting a higher education. Just go to TV VCR repair. Well, not TV, but VCR or HVAC. Get a job as an air conditioning repairman. You'll be set for life. You'll make a good living.
Yeah, did go to trade school. I agree. And I'm someone who's never gone to higher education. It's at times I might have been, but I didn't want the debt personally, and I never pursued it. And yet people said, "I'm surprised to hear that you never went to higher education."
I thought about wanting to work in those trade jobs, but there's a lot of rednecks and shit that I don't want to deal with.
The negatives
Well,
are
then
that
you
the
should
rednecks-
leave Earth.
or welder.
definitely leave Florida.
I mean, you're going to
Those
find
people who look at-
rednecks everywhere. It's just that they'll have different accents and hobbies depending on where you go.
As please don't ask people to look at Herschel Walker. Asking people to do painful things is not nice. That's a good point, Bromrek, as it were. Fortunately, we won't have to like look at Herschel Walker anymore too, because like he's not going to be prevalent unless the Republicans put him up as a candidate somewhere else somewhere.
Air conditioning repair, welding, plumbing, electrician, carpentry.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that need doing, and college is basically a scam at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm. Anyway, so
But it
like,
is a 3:45-ish, looking like.
And I gotta go
Yes.
watch. I gotta go wash some dishes. I can't wash dishes at my house because
Meth
apartments.
yeah.
I gotta go to my other job and wash dishes in their industrial sink.
Get I have no problem like using company equipment for your own personal needs. I watch like Twitch streams on my work computer all the time. So yes. A couple of blows. Ellie, now your cat has a Twitter and an Instagram.
Yeah, I would kind of like to promote my Instagram because I only I also have a TikTok, but it's like if you just promote my Instagram, that's fine because I would like to transfer away from Twitter because Twitter's going down the drain.
Mhm.
Even though I never had this many followers, but it's just like it's getting buggy as hell on Twitter now.
Yeah.
What? They actually need employees to run? Weird.
Yes. You have. I'm sorry.
Notifications anymore, and it's like
Yeah, it's good not to get notifications anymore. So Joe McCoy, you have nothing to promote.
I got nothing.
As the charity links on page, they give me money to like Phoenix and those kind of people as it were.
Yeah, do that.
As
I don't even have any interesting charities this time. I got nothing.
no, there's always charity links on page. There's always like give money to Phoenix and Joanna as well. Which I already did. So like Isaiah Taylor, you have like your two YouTube channels, Sinister Intelligence, which maybe in the future there might be a Rosewood like video that'll be popping up as well, and the Autistic Modeling Society. How are those YouTube channels doing? You got anything new planned for those channels yet?
I uploaded a video Friday about Soyuz 11. That was the first time human beings died in space.
Oh yeah.
Uploaded that one Friday, and I haven't uploaded one of my other channels yet because I'm busy looking for another job and shit.
That's very true. But you also have your own Instagram that people can check out too. Cult Culture 92. So I'll also like plug your Instagram too, because like there's a lot of awesome photos that you posted there of your cosplays and various cool things that you have, as well as your models. Yes, some of the models are just like a store bought and you build them up, but then you also add lights to them. So it's just like it's one thing to just like buy the models and build them. That's definitely cool. But then you go the extra mile of like putting lights into them, and that's awesome too.
Note that this isn't just on Facebook. He's adding lights, not likes.
That is important distinction. I do mumble my words, and it's a lot hard for people to understand me. I also talk really, really, really fast for some reason. That like some people have said to slow down. One person said, "I just want to choke the life out of you," and everyone else is like, "Wow!" It's like, yes, I talk fast, but that's a way to say that I talk too fast.
You will good and do.
I have slight trouble understanding you sometimes. I will murder you. Yeah, sorry.
I'm tickled. I am tickled pink that when he said "mumble my words," "mumble my" sounded like a single word.
Yeah.
Hey, the Germans actually do that. They just like put words together to make one word. Like there's a word for like a face is deserving of a punch.
That's Nazi.
And that's a German word too. I am Summary Geek, Summary Geek on YouTube. Even though it's been over 4 months since I posted a YouTube video, I should go back onto that at some point or another. Stop playing Fortnite as much. Summary Geek on Twitter, at least I post there occasionally. Summary Geek on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming on Twitch a little later today. Just probably going to play some like Stardew Valley or something like that after I get something to eat. And Summary Geek on Tumblr and co-host. I'm posting there more regularly, but about as regularly as I post on like Twitter. So it's just like if you don't want like Twitter, but you can follow me on co-host and you follow me on like Tumblr too. So we can get some of my status updates there as well. Should post more, but like I don't know, just don't use that apps as much. And John Brunkman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Yes.
Dungeons and Debacles.
We haven't recorded in a while. Last week, Kevin had a migraine. This week, a close friend died, so he's at the funeral.
I see, yeah.
But we ordinarily record Sunday evenings, and then I guess the podcasts are still going out. I haven't seen them in my feed in a long time. Maybe you have. Maybe it's just my thing. But it's a lot of fun. Very different from this. We are not playing good guys, and we're no longer murdering civilians as cops. I was not having fun with that storyline, and we retconned that. It no longer happened. So,
yeah.
All right, and with that, we will go ahead and say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't forget to practice
Wait,
it.
hold on.
Wait.
Would you guys support me playing the lottery?
No.
Not really, no.
I play poker. Trust me on the odds. You're just not going to win as often.
Okay.
You could try mugging people. That would be profitable.
Encourage a black person to be mugging on like a
Encouraging
Isaiah
Isaiah
to
skin
mug
color.
people. Encourage Isaiah to mug people in Florida. A black man in Florida.
I can remind you, we do have stand your ground laws here, so that may not work.
Exactly. Ask George Zimmerman about that.
All right. Bye,
Oh my
everybody.
goodness.
Bye.
Bye.
Practice